Hello everyone, Reggie Time here, and we're going to view a recording of a morning session I played today in a club called Potbombers, which is part of a large Australian union on the PP Poker network. Just started working with these guys. They've got a remarkably efficient admin setup. They're just very good at getting things done quickly in a timely manner, and they can, because they're in this union, they can easily get players into some of the absolute softest games you're going to find anywhere in these clubs or anywhere in the internet. Basically, they pretty much play as soft as live games. Stakes start at 40 NL Aussie dollars, which is about 20 NL sterling, 25 NL US, something like that. And as you can see, we just take a quick minute to look at my HUD stats that are showing on the tables. It's not difficult to get into really good games. I typically just table start when I start sessions, just one table at a time. Wait for it to fill, start another, wait it to fill, start another, till I've got my three tables up. That's usually a way to get to good games. Sometimes the tables that form around me aren't brilliant, and I'll just leave the table and start another one. But by and large, it's a very effective method for getting into very good games very quickly. These games fill really quickly when you start them. You can open the table, sit, and within 2 or 3 minutes, usually you're sat at a full table. And that was certainly the case this morning when I was playing, which would have been around mid-afternoon to late afternoon Australian time, I guess. So it's a good time to play. Mornings and afternoons UK time is a good time to play. But to be fair, there's traffic 24/7 in this club, so whenever you play, you're going to be able to find games and hopefully good games. But I think what I like most about this particular club is that it's very recreational player friendly in terms of it's not rammed stuff full with highly skilled regulars like if you were playing on a mainstream site or maybe some of the other clubs that don't have as big unions, don't have as many players to draw from, where you can quite often get at tables with 3 or 4 regulars, maybe only one obvious fish, and then there's 4 or 5 of you looking to chop up one fish. And if you're one of the weaker regulars, then effectively you're like a losing player at that table. It's like the old saying goes from Super System when Dahl was talking about somebody who was like the 7th best stud player in the world and said his problem is he plays with the 6 people that are better than him every day, which makes him a losing player. And that's how a lot of players should view poker that don't. And game selection is obviously really important. I've talked about it a lot down the years, but as I'm making this video for the Potbombers guys to put on their website, they've asked me to make it a little bit more like strategy heavy. It's not going to be super heavy because I don't really like doing that too much. But we're going to talk a lot more about strategy, discuss some hands as and when they come up, give my opinion on them. But one of the key strategies for being a winning poker player is putting yourself in games that you can beat. So you're going to, in this club, you're going to get the experience of playing against some regulars, but also with some fish too. You're going to play in games that have like tables that have a mix of like player abilities on them. So you get good practice against every kind of player. You get good practice against regulars. You get good practice against fish. You get good practice at playing in games that have got a mix of fish and regulars. So it's going to help you improve at poker, improve your win rate at poker. Sorry, because you're going to be playing with just softer players, which is the easiest way to reduce your win rate is playing softer games, bar none. That is easily the best way. But also, you get to earn while you learn. It's fine saying, oh, I'm going to play 10 on Zoom and I'm going to learn to be a really good regular. That's fine. No issue with that. Iron strengthens iron or iron sharpens iron, however the fucking saying goes. But if you can earn while you learn, play against some good regulars, but also play against enough fish where you can make some money whilst you're learning and developing your game, then that can only be a good thing, surely. So I'm not going to waffle any longer. I'm going to get into the tables. There were some interesting spots during this, but we're going to play it back at as fast a speed as we can, and then just pause the video as and when the interesting spots come up. So let's see if we can make this any faster still. Go on, zooming along now. It's a 45-minute video that I recorded. Not sure how long it'll take us to get through it, but we'll go right through to the end of it, and it'll take as long as it takes. Hopefully won't miss any spots with us going through at warp speed. So on table 2 here, we're racing with the King Jack. If we get any action, we'll go ahead. So you can see here, I'm checking this player's stats out. He's got a 65% full to see, but that looks like what I'm focusing on here. So I think with someone with a such a high fold to c-bet, I think we should be c-betting this board, even without air like King Jack, with a very high frequency. But he leads into us. So what does that tell me about this spot here? Well, if we've got a guy that's folding to a lot of c-bets, that means he's probably just check folding a lot. So when he doesn't check and he leads out, that tells me he's probably not. If he check folds a high frequency, he's probably not checking too many ace X hands here. So if he's not checking them, what's he doing with them? Well, he must be betting them, you would assume. So when he leads out here, I mean, this guy's a bad player. He's playing 51-30, so he's bad aggressive. He probably just leads out whenever he's got a hand he likes and just gives up when he doesn't have a hand he likes, hence the high check fold. So I don't remember what I did here. Sometimes against some players when they lead out like relatively small like this, like 120 into 420, I could be tempted to maybe put a little bluff raise in, thinking, well, they're only betting small, maybe it's a feel a bet, maybe they're trying to bet to find out where they are, so we'll tell them, we'll lay a false trail, we'll tell them a false story. But against this guy who's check folding a lot, when he leads, I'm not going to respect the play because it's not a good play, but I'm going to respect the fact he's done it and give him credit for having a hand he probably wouldn't fold to a raise. So I expect to see myself fold here. I'm disappointed with myself if I don't fold. And I did find the fold, and I think that's fine. I haven't watched this video back, by the way, so there may be some surprises in it for me. I did only play the session like 2.5 hours ago or so, but yeah, my short-term memory isn't the best, especially for spots that like didn't seem significant at the time, but might be worth talking about on video. So maybe a few spots where I'll say to myself, "Well, I'd like to see myself do this," and I do something different. But it's a lot easier to come up with better lines when you're not under pressure of actually playing. So we'll see. See how many things I would have done differently had I not been playing like at live speed. So here down on this table, we've in a limped pot with ace 8 in the big blind. It looks like we're going to fold here. Don't think we should. If I do, this dude's just bet half pot. He's very loose passive. He doesn't have a lot of money. So I don't think we've got any nice options here. I mean, if we raise, maybe we get it in against like Queen X. Maybe we get it in against some flush draws. Maybe we just get him to fold some equity. I think folding's out of the question. I think we should probably just call. But it's not nice because even if we do have the best hand, we don't stand to win a lot. But if we do have the worst hand, then we probably stand to lose $6.20, I guess. But looks like we're maybe going to fold. And I don't think I'd like that, even in a limped pot. Now we do call. We check again. He bets just $1 this time. It does feel like we're being milked. I remember this hand now, actually. It does feel like we're being milked here. But I mean, again, we get such a good price. We probably shouldn't be folding to this. He might be value betting a queen here at this price. Or might be betting, not saying he's value betting. He probably doesn't know what he's doing when he's betting. But he could be betting a queen here, and then we're making a big mistake if we fold our 8 for this price. And then remember, I think he upsized the river somewhat. Yeah, he goes all in on the river. And we can't call this bet, I don't think. I don't think he does this with the queen. I think with the queen he probably continues betting small. Maybe once in a while he has a flush draw that plays this way, but we do have the 8 of diamonds, which, you know, it's not super critical, but it does block some of his draws. It's not a big factor, but it's a tiny factor that could come into our decision making. And there's also like lots of the other 2 pairs you can have. Like it's a limped pot. You can have Queen Jack, Queen 9, Jack 9, Ace 3. There's just so many hands that we just don't beat here. You could be betting for value. So into an easy fold at the end. Disappointed that we put 180 in and then lost, but you know, it is what it is. Here we have a situation with this guy who's played very loose and aggressive. He's isolated a limper. We have a very playable hand in the big blind. I don't mind calling or 3-betting here. Not sure what I do, to be honest, because I genuinely don't remember this hand at all. I think folding's probably out the question given this guy's limped, but look at his stack size. Maybe if he was fully stacked, calling's maybe a lot more appropriate. I think maybe off this stack size, folding can be okay. Not sure how often this guy was folding to 3-bet, so I'm not sure 3-bet's a really good option actually, because he's just going to probably call a lot, and then we're going to be left with like a moderate hand out of position to someone who's probably bad and aggressive, which is never a good situation to find yourself in. So I think my preferred options here would be probably just about fold, given his stack depth. If he had $20 plus, then call for sure. And I think 3-bet is my least favourite option, but I genuinely don't remember what I did. Oh, I just folded quite quickly. I gave it less thought at the time than I gave it there. Completing with the Queen 10 table 1. We'll stop if anything interesting happens, and it doesn't, so never mind. Again, I think 3-6 suited can definitely be an open with fishing blinds, or without, or with regulars in blinds. But we had this dude limping here off less than 20 blinds. We've got this maniac in the big blinds, so I think all in all, save the 3-6 for another day. 2 sevens on table 3. Pretty sure we're going to be playing this. Right, what do we want to see us do here? We've had a 23/9 min raise under the gun. So this guy's like pretty weak tight, like probably a losing regular, you would imagine. Maybe he wins in these games because of that soft, who knows. So we've got a very loose passive guy just peeling behind. Do we want to set mine here, or do we want to squeeze? That is a question that we should be asking ourselves in these spots, because it is only a min raise. I think the problem with squeezing is that you open yourself up to a 4-bet, then you get blown off your equity, when perhaps flopping a set against someone who's only opening quite a narrow range of hands would be long term more profitable than raising now and perhaps just like denying some equity to his overcards or what have you. So I think I prefer just calling, but we'll see what I do. Looks like I am going for the raise. Yeah, I did. Don't like it. Should squeeze there for sure. Sorry, should just call there, I think. I think that's a mistake from me. Maybe a little bit too aggressive against someone who's only got a PFR of 9 under the gun. I'm presuming it's probably even less than 9, but maybe he just raises the same hand from all positions. But we get the two people that had already volunteered money to the pot, and we get the cold call off the 51/2, who looks like he's got a relatively high fold to c-bet from this. Let's hope I check it. Do I check his fold to c-bet? Yes, I do. And he's got a 63% fold to c-bet. Again, in a lot of games, if you're following the like Doug Polk post-flop categorization system here, this is a super standard check back. It's a crystal clear category 2 hand, which Doug Polk advises to check back, and I'm on board with all that kind of strategy, especially when you're playing in tougher games with regulars who will attack turn checkbacks, flop checkbacks with like wide parts of their range. This would be a nice hand to check back and then have a regular like probe the turn. But we're not playing against good regulars here. We're playing against 51/2s. Now this guy can have things like ace deuce, ace 3 that will call. He can have 5x, 4x that will call. Yeah, of course we're behind to 10x, behind to pocket 9s, pocket 8s. But on balance, I think this is just a good spot to bet, not too big, because if we get raised, then we're just setting more money on fire. I think we can bet smallish here, fold to a raise very comfortably, bet small for value from his gut shots, from his open enders, from his ace highs that maybe have a wheel draw. Maybe even if he's got a hand like ace jack, he might peel once, or ace queen or something. Because this guy doesn't do a lot of raising and 3-betting, so he can have all of those hands still. So I think this is like a spot to bet small and fold to a raise. And we bet just over 1/3 pot, which is small enough for me, and he turbo folded and we picked up the pot. He reduces, we're folding to the squeeze. Can we go even faster? Who knows? Let's try. And have we reached peak fastness? Have we reached? Oh, we know it looks like we can go a bit faster. We don't want too much dead air in a video, do we? When we're doing the review videos, so we are now at warp factor 10. Eyes are darting around like a teenager on a topless beach. Looks like we may be playing the 6-7 here, are we? Completing with it. And we flop a flush draw in a limped pot. Again, against loose passive players, you don't really want to be check calling very often. Yeah, I get we've got a draw here, so we can easily just check call. But I think if we're going to be like putting money in post flop versus loose passive players, we're much better to be doing it aggressively. We're much better to make like an aggressive mistake here by betting and like getting called by Queen X, etc., than just checking, not building a pot for when we hit, but almost certainly like, well, definitely with 7 high, giving somebody value. I think if this is like a raise pot, we can maybe think about doing some check calling or some check raising. But in a limped pot, I think, well, I'm pretty sure I lead out here, and I think it's the best play. So we do lead out, and we just take it down immediately. It's quite an interesting spot. Cause I remember thinking to myself, how am I going to talk about this when I do the video? We have top pair here on a super coordinated board, and a lot of players I think will make a mistake here and lead out, just trying to like protect their top pair. I think the problem is that if you lead out here and you get called, you know you're going to be in rough shape. What you're effectively doing is you're setting yourself up to build a pot that you can't defend later in the hand because the bets are going to be like bigger because you built the pot. Say we lead out here for say half pot again or 3/4 pot. So let's say one person calls. That's going to put over $3 in the pot. There's going to be so many turns we don't like. We're not going to like a 6. We're not going to like a 7. We're not going to like a jack. We're not going to like a queen. We're not going to like a king. We're not going to like a club. We're not going to like an 8 or a 9. So like, God knows how much. 70% plus of the deck we're going to completely hate. And I was just pretty much in just check full mode the entire hand here, but I see so many players who will like lead out here with the 10, just trying to make people fold or to protect the hand, get value, whatever it is they're doing. But our hand's just too weak. Yeah, we have top pair, we might have the best hand now. But the chances of us like getting to showdown with the best hand by taking a betting line, I think is just, it's too much of a stretch. So I was in check full mode the entire hand here. And as it happens, we would never have got Jack 6 to fold there, and Jack 6 would have got there. This was interesting as well. We've got this manic guy who's all of a sudden decided to just like 10x it from middle position. We have ace 9 suited, and I think I look at his 4 to 3 bet, see that it's low, and decide not to. Maybe I didn't look at it. Maybe I just saw it in the HUD. I'm not sure which one of those stats is 4 to 3 bet. I think it's maybe that 39 one there. I'm not sure. Could be that one. So yeah, I decided not to. I mean, it's a really pretty hand. It's a hand we want to be 3-betting against like bad aggressive opponents, but not when they open for 10x. I think we probably just need to be a bit more circumspect than that. And we would have flopped well, but we don't get to see if we'd have got there because he just overbet jammed. We get the aces the next hand. And we flop top set. And I remember this hand too. I think I make a mistake in this hand. I think it probably turns out for the best that I make a mistake. I didn't see bet, and quite often I won't see bet top set because like what else can our opponents have for you? Like Jack 10, Jack Queen that maybe call. If they've got a set of 3s, then we're going to get the money anyway. 4, 5 that may or may not call. So we've got some gut shots to defend against, but I'm willing to gamble on one of them coming in. And if we let them get there and pay them off, then it's tough shit for us, I guess. But then I'm checking to a passive player, which I don't like very much. I think maybe, I mean, if we're checking to induce plus from passive players, then maybe we need to be choosing boards that and a bit more connected that'll allow them to have more semi-bluffs in the range. So I don't really like what I did in this hand because we checked, our opponent checked back, we turn a boat, so I just bet small. I think you should probably bet bigger at this point. I mean, what I'm trying to do with this small bet, I mean, if he's got a king, he's going to pay more. If he's got a hand like pocket sixes, pocket sevens, then he's probably not going to call anyway. So I don't like this bet size. I think here should be like crossing everything, hoping he's got a 3, or making a larger size, hope he's got the case ace or like a reasonable king, like a king queen, king jack type hand. I don't like my size, and we should go bigger for sure. But it works out fine because we do induce a raise. So then the next question for us is, do we now 3-bet or do we just call and allow it to bluff the river too? And I think at this point, putting a 3-bet in would just make no sense whatsoever. I think we need to call, since we've basically got the board locked up, and hope he gets there, hope he's got a flush draw and gets there, or hope he's got a 3, and then just like cause our check shove on the river. So I check again. He bets. This time he sizes up to 6. So now I'm pretty confident that we're going to get paid because, like, he can have some like ace queen, maybe if we're dead lucky ace 3, you can have some 3x maybe. Jack 10's now got there. The flush has got there. So when he bets 6, I just think, oi, here we go. We're getting all of it. So we stick him in, and he folds. So given I don't really associate loose passive players going for thin value in those spots, I'm presuming our like unorthodox line actually did induce some bluffs. That wasn't why I took the line, but it looks like it was perhaps a positive side effect of the unorthodox and, to be frank, not very good line that I took. Don't be checking strong hands to passive players. It's a fundamental rule of poker. Against passive players with strong hands, just bet, bet, bet. I got a bit cute there, and luckily I wasn't punished for it. You raise the ace jack suited here against somebody who only has a 5%, and we get 3-bet, sorry, on the button by somebody who only has a 5% PFR and a 2% 3-bet, so the ace jack's going to be a trivial, the ace jack suited is going to be a trivial fold against somebody with those stats. Normally, cut-off versus button, we're not going to be folding ace jack suited versus a 3-bet, but against someone who's playing 45-5 with a 2% 3-bet and who only started the hand with like 25 big blinds, maybe 28, maybe 30, it's going to be a trivial fold, and we're not going to worry about it. Would have made the absolute nuts up here, but never mind. We did not play the pot because we did not want to call a raise with someone who had king and had an 8% PFR. Again, you want to be playing, just pause a moment while we talk about that. He raised under the gun, we folded king jack. You want to be trying to play like cards that have good high card strength against loose passive opponents, because you're going to want to flop a lot of pairs and just make some value bets, a lot of like good top pairs and things. But when someone's playing 41-8 and they raise under the gun, then king jack off's just a miserable hand to defend, which is why we folded it. Even though we would have made the nuts, that's irrelevant. Here was the correct fold. Flop the nuts over on table 3. What size would I like to see myself go here? How many people are in the pot? It's hard to see. I think this one down is in the pot too, isn't it? So if we do have a 4-way pot, well, it doesn't matter 3 or 4 ways. We want to go quite big here with our ace king, I think. Some 2 pairs out there, some top pairs. If someone's in there with like another king, king jack, king 10, that type of thing, they're never folding. So I think at this spot it's kind of like forget about trying to get value from weak parts of the range like small pocket pairs and things, and just focus on trying to extract max value from their 2-pair pluses, worst flop straights, etc., top pair, top kicker type hands. I'd like to see myself go big here. To be frank, I wouldn't mind a pot size bet. I think pot is fine. Yeah, I wouldn't want to see myself go much smaller than pot here. 4.2, not super happy with that. Could have gone bigger. If we'd gone bigger, then we could have just shoved this turn. If we, instead of going 4.2, we go, say, 5, then there's an extra 160 in the pot here. So that's going to put the pot up to 1580. It's going to put your stack down to 1440. So we could just jam the turn, whereas now we've got a slight overbet. And we have to have the overbet or just go small again. And we do go small, and then we've left ourselves with like a nice half pot shove on the river, which is nice, just leave a half pot shove for the river on the river for value. But if we'd done bigger on the flop, I think we could have got all the value by now anyway. So we do obviously go all in now, and our opponent snapfolds. So yeah, I think if we go bigger on the flop there, we make more value for sure. Or I'm pretty sure we do anyway. We need to rewind back to this hand because it was interesting. Not sure we've gone back far enough yet, have we? Right, so now we're looking at the middle hand on table 2. We've got the 5-8. We flop a straight. It's not the nuts, but we do flop a straight. It's a limp pot again, so I elect to overbet. I think overbetting's completely fine here, but I think we can go even bigger than just one. I think we could go €2 here and not get folds from loads of things. So I think, yeah, we made a mistake here with this bet sizing. Going small doesn't make any sense whatsoever, in my opinion. We could go for a check raise, but again, do we want to check raise up against passive players on boards like this that might check through and there's loads of really bad turn cards for us? So we've gone 1. I think we should have gone 140 at least. I think our overbet's too small. Get the call, turns 8, which is obviously a really bad card for us now. Out 10x beats us. But we can still get value from 2 pairs, from sets, flush draws, etc. So I go with the bet again, obviously much smaller this time because we don't have our hands nowhere near as strong. And the river comes to 10, so there's now a straight on board. I think we're just going to chop this pot an awful lot, but I don't want to chop the pot, so I elect to go all in just to try and make him fold a chop. If he's called us with like say 6, 7 or sets or anything, he might fold a chop here once in a while. And if he does, then great. I mean, if he doesn't, then we just pay rake, but never mind. I'm happy enough with the all in, not putting him all in. Sadly for us, he'd limped jacks and then just hit runner to have a bigger straight. So happy with my line there. Don't think it matters what we did. If we'd have bet 2 on the pot, he'd have called. He would never have folded, so we'd have lost the maximum no matter what. It's just quite amusing the way we did it. King 10 here should be an open, I would hope. We do open it, we get a thoroughly miserable flop. We're never going to be c-betting this board. Out of position with like just over cards, no backdoor equity whatsoever. It's a spot where the minute I see this flop, I just mentally check out and give up. I mean, if we check through and we hit a king or a 10 on the turn, then we switch on again and we start making some bets. But out of position to a very loose passive player, these are just totally not the boards that we want to be opening our c-bet range on. We just check fold the turn. Here's queen here down table 3. We're going to be v-pipping that for sure, of course. We flop top pair. Good kicker. Against a 42-15. I think it's a very appropriate spot to bet. Again, some good turn cards for us. King's obviously fantastic. Heart's good. also some bad cards for us that might scare him, i.e. if we turn 2 pair, he might get scared or it might improve him. So it's a good board for us for now, but there's loads of shit to, unless it like runs out deuce 3 or something. There's not any like, super good run outs for us. Not sure I worded that very well, to be honest, but yeah, we should bet. Basically what I'm saying is we should bet, and we should probably bet quite big. You just fold anyway, so it's kind of a moot point. How's that for a flop for the ace king? Boom, just flop it, sir. And you still haven't got him dead because he's got the gut shot to the straight flush. Nice 9-6-6 board here. Slightly different board texture to the one earlier that was like 4-5-6 or whatever it was, 2-tone. Again, we have like really poor equity when called. We have 2 overcards, that's about it. Against a loose passive play. I don't actually remember this hand, so what would I do now? Give myself more time to think about the situation now. What do I think I should do? Against loose passive players, we still check. They're going to check back a lot of hands that are worse. I mean, it's not good here if he's in there with like a hand like 10 jack, and we check, he bets, and we fold. That's not good. But how often do we expect loose passive players to just like start betting with 10 jack here? Some will, of course. I'm not saying none of them do, but in general, the loose passive population probably just check back here with hands that are behind king queen. So I don't think we're going to get bluffed too often. And if we are bluffed, it doesn't matter that much because we've already got king high. It's not the end of the world. But you could also just make an argument for betting and just having him fold stuff that's got equity like 10 jack, rather than having him check back and allow him to realise more of his equity, or turn that into a bluff and make us fold our equity. I think we could also make a case for stabbing here. If we are going to stab, I think small's the way to go. Like 140, something like that. So I'm happy with like a small bet or a check here. I think both are okay. Big bet isn't good. I think we're kind of obliged to bet that turn. I do remember this hand now, and I remember thinking at the time, I really don't like having to bet this because it will have a lot of ace highs in his checking back range. So it felt like it's a spot where I had to bet, but I felt not good about it. But you've got to do what you've got to do. So I did put a bet in, and our opponent called, and then the river, I've just given up at this point. I think he can have some like 9x that was pot controlling flop, some ace-x that didn't want to raise, some like pocket fives, pocket sevens, that type of thing that maybe folds on the river if we bet, maybe doesn't fold. Who knows? But yeah, pretty much I'm not putting any more money in the pot. Our opponent checks back, and somehow we fucking win, which at the time I enjoyed, and upon review, I can confirm I still enjoy it. Kind of backs up the theory of we shouldn't be paying these guys off because we took an incredibly weak line there, or relatively weak line, and he decided not to bluff us on the river when we showed weakness. Which does suggest to me that he probably only bets when he's got like a really strong hand or a relatively strong hand. Where's my cursor freaking out then? I waved it around to like indicate something to myself. What was it? Ah, yes, it was this hand. To demonstrate how bad some of the regulars are. So we've got a 42/1 here. Min raising under the gun. And we have a probably not good regular in the blinds, 21/13. So not terrible, but not good either. He's also got like the VIP that I've got with the hood, so he'll know this guy's a 42/1. and then he check shoves against his rather strong range. As we've got a 42-1 who's raised under the gun, and then C-bet on a pretty dry board. So this guy's representing like aces, kings, ace, king, that type of thing. Given he's only got a 1% PFR, he's going to have pretty much just aces, kings, and maybe queens and ace, king. But he can't have them all probably because the man's got a fucking 1% PFR. So I mean, yeah, unless this guy's got a set, which he, spoiler alert, you might have already seen it, he doesn't have. He plays his hand fucking horrendously, basically. So he gets it all in, and he's called the min raise under the gun with king 4 off. That's fucking horrendous anyway. And then he's check shoved on someone who's representing a hugely strong hand with just top pair shit kicker. I mean, maybe he's just sat there thinking, fuck my life, I've locked top pair against the net and didn't get there. But this guy's going to have aces, kings, ace, king. He's probably going to be checking back pocket queens, things like that. So yeah, this dude butchered his hand here and just needlessly dumped $8, 20 big blinds, which is a lot. If you keep making these 20 big blind mistakes, you might be like, oh fuck, it's 20 big blinds, who cares? But it adds the fuck up. If you're winning at, say, 6 big blinds 100 in these games, and you should be winning at more than 6 blinds 100 to be frank, because of that soft. But imagine you are winning at 6 blinds 100, and it takes you in these clubs maybe half an hour to play 100 hands. Maybe we'll be generous, say 20 minutes to play 100 hands, and it takes longer, but we say 20 minutes to make sure we're on the generous side. And you just spunk 20 big blinds off. Well, that's based on your 6 big blind 100 win rate. That's an hour and a bit that you just lost. You just thrown an hour and a half's work away there through spunking that money off. And it's really important. It's why people don't make the progress they should make. It's why people don't have the win rates they should have. It's why people tilt. It's all of these things, these little sloppy small errors that started with a bad defend pre with the king 4, and then a bad decision to check raise all in on the flop when you're only getting called by a better hand. Then you just write it up like, 20 big blinds, who cares? It's only $8, who cares? But it adds up. If you make 10 of those mistakes a week, that's 2 buy-ins. Over the course of a year, that's 104 buy-ins at 40 and L. So it's at $4,000 you're costing yourself over the course of a year on mistakes that you just write off as, who cares? It's only $8. If you do make them mistakes, stop. Do stop doing it. Do yourself a favour. Increase your win rate by stopping being sloppy. Versus relatively face-up players. You can see here we're starting another table over on table 1. We didn't like the look of the previous table 1 had gone, so we're just going to come off it and start a fresh one. So we get sat by someone who looks reggish. So I'm willing to play these guys for like a couple of minutes, see what happens. I mean, he can't be much of a... Oh, I was going to say he can't be. He's topped up now. And we're going to see what happens. So we've got like another like weak type regular sat here, who we know is quite bad. And then we've got a whale sitters here. So we're going to see this whale reload his stack or double up quite quickly, because at the minute this table isn't looking promising. We have another like loose passive player or loose player sitting up here. So you can see the games do form relatively quickly. And we've found 2 guys with good VPIPs but no money, so we quickly left. If a table isn't going to turn out to be as good as you want it to be, then there really is no point messing around on it. Be decisive. Don't waste valuable real estate on your screen. Don't waste valuable time. And we've instantly found a better table here, albeit a 16L table, with a guy that's fat stacked and loose stats, and then instantly another guy sat who's not as fat stacked but even looser stats. So as I talked about right at the start of the video, game selection isn't something I just preach about. It's something that I take very seriously. Interesting that a regular that was sat has just quit. Doesn't make sense, does it? Unless he's finished his session. But yeah. regular sits, gets a good table, quits. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you get good tables, if you have like a good seat on, like he had a seat here, so you got position on this dude and like reasonable position on this dude, and he just like, yeah, you know what, fuck it, can't be asked. You're not going to make money doing that. You know, you get good tables, you need to grind them for as long as is humanly possible. Obviously, if you have somewhere to go, somewhere to be, or something happens that makes you need to stop playing, then that's just one of those things. But you shouldn't be stopping playing those tables through choice. Here we remember this hand too against this player. He's got a pretty high C bet. We defended the Queen 10 suited blind versus blind. And somebody who's kind of like probably a bad regular 28/40. So he's got a big gap between his VP and his PFR. And a relatively high C bet at 60 odd percent. So we called. Turn comes a king and he upsizes. But I think, you know, if he's anywhere near decent, the king's a good card for him to continue bluffing on. My plan here was to call here and then maybe fold rivers, or if he checked, maybe think about turning a hand into a bluff. I wasn't really sure. I didn't like the spot. All of a sudden we got second pair versus someone whose stats are a little bit contradictory. The 28-14 leads me to believe he's probably quite passive. If you've got a gap as large as that between your VP and PFR, typically means you're quite a passive player. But we've got a passive player who's raised from the small blind and has now double barreled on a relatively dry board. We do block some Queen Jack, Ace Queen, stuff like that. So we block some of his bluffs, which isn't good. But I still think maybe it's too soon to fold. And the river comes and he bets what looks like a really value sizing. And I go in the tank here, not because I'm thinking of calling. I'm not thinking of calling. I'm thinking here of, can I credibly represent any strong hands here? Like, I'm thinking like maybe a 9-7 or, I mean, yeah, 9-7 basically, isn't it? I think I probably raised sets before now. Certainly raised two pairs before now. But I was in the tank just like trying to think, you know, how many like value hands do I have here that want to raise this river if I want to bluff here? And I figured out I didn't have anywhere near enough value hands to justify bluffing there. So I didn't, basically. No way I'm ever going to see bet 10 high multi-way on these clubs. It's not going to be something on my to-do list ever. What are we going to do with the ace-4 suited here? Let's rewind back, because I did a bit of waggling with my mouse, so there must be a reason for that. Fold to 3-bet 22%, so I'd already noticed that, which is why I didn't 3-bet the ace-4 suited, which I think against a 50-23, you know, you maybe want to be 3-betting quite frequently against these guys, but with hands that have like, they're going to call a lot. So you would need hands that are going to do well at showdown. Ace-4 suited. I mean, we're going to be super depolarized 3-betting this guy here. We're going to be 3-betting like probably pocket 7s, pocket 8s plus. Big suited aces like Ace King, Ace Queen, Ace Jack suited. Maybe stuff like King Queen suited too. I think Ace-4 suited probably falls slightly better into a calling range. It does 3-betting range versus this player. I mean, I'm hoping to. Other people suggesting maybe not, but it feels like more like if we 3-bet ace-4 suited here, we're kind of 3-bet bluffing, whereas if we 3-bet all high card combinations. We can probably call some 4 bets given how deep we are. We were 3 bet here to say 4.5, and he makes it 11 or something. We could defend a lot of hands versus him because he's so manic. Ace 4 wouldn't be one of the hands that I would want to defend in that spot though. Over here on table 2, we opened tens. Oh no, we called an open with tens. And then we got a cold 4 bet. Sorry, a 3 bet or a squeeze, whatever the fuck you want to call it there. Then this guy put another bet in, and it's just time to fold our tens, wasn't it? We call the flop C bet with the king 4 when we have top pair. Not much else going on, but we can't just go folding one pair to one C bet when we have position. I mean, it's going to be times when he's just going to check turns and allow us to try and take the pot away. Or sometimes we're going to hit an ace or a 4 and improve. As played, we should just fold here now, I think. Calling seems excessive, and we did just fold. Not sure there's any more interesting hands between now and the end of the session. We've only got another, like maybe 3 minutes of the recording to go through. Here we go for the isolation race with the ace queen versus the manic guy here. Get a reasonable flop to see bet in position, so we go ahead and do it, and he just folds his king and we move on. So yeah, I think the table's going to end now because you can see I was at this point in the session. I was thinking because there's another table that's about to leave. I can't remember which table it is. Looking at it, it's probably going to be this one because we have like 20 odd, 20 odd, 20 odd. I don't stick around with 320 V pips. So I think at this point in my session, I was thinking, well, I've got a good table here. We need to start 2 fresh tables. I've been playing for about 2.5 hours at this point. I was due a break anyway, so even though I said earlier we shouldn't be leaving good tables, if you've got 2 tables down, even if we have a really, really good table here, but if we started 2 more tables, I'm committing to another hour and a half of play, and I was due a break. So yeah, that is why I wound the session up, despite having like an exceptionally good table still to play here. Yeah, so anyway, I know nothing more interesting happens. It's just like winding the session up with nothing more interesting to go. So I hope you've enjoyed this video format. I've enjoyed doing it. I think it's better than just me choosing hands to review that ultimately just end up being a succession of coolers, bad beats, suckouts, that type of thing, and not that interesting. I think if we're going to do review videos, which I'm thinking about doing going forward, doing it in this format is much better than just reviewing individual hands that at the time when you tagged him you think, oh, that was quite interesting, that when you come back and look at it it's like, well, actually it wasn't, because a lot of the time big pots aren't that interesting. They're just hands that play themselves, whereas we've discussed a lot more decent discussion in this video with a lot of smaller pots, which typically will generate a few more things to discuss, I guess, and a few more like strategical nuances you can add to your game. You can critique my game, etc. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I've certainly enjoyed making it. Do reach out to me if you'd like to get involved in this club. These guys are good guys that we're dealing with here, and they're working very hard on trying to build like a really solid business and a solid platform for people in what is, as we all know, notoriously murky waters. So yeah, these guys, they've got my faith, they've got my trust, they've got my belief. I won't be making videos and plugging them if they didn't. So yeah, please do reach out. If when they get the website up and running, I'll start like linking you to their website beneath the videos. But yeah, get in touch with me and I can get you set up in these clubs. Or if you want to deal with the guys directly, get in touch with me and I'll give you their contact details and you can deal with those guys directly. Either way is completely fine by me. Just get in touch because these are games that you should be in. But I think we're going to leave it there now. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Stay indoors where you can. Be kind. Yeah, it's getting better, isn't it? You know, living in the UK without getting too political, they've butchered it, haven't they? They've fucked it up. But it's getting better just because that's just the natural course of things, isn't it? It's going to be a long time yet, but we're making progress. Keep the faith, everybody. Stay well. Stay safe and bye bye for now.